Hello and welcome to Fit With Us episode 54. Gary, how are we?
Very well, mate. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you. Happy New Year to all the listeners. How are you?
Good mate, get the vocals working, dust off the
I
dust
know,
there.
mate. It's been a few weeks, man. It's been a few weeks. I actually owe everybody an apology because I promised that we would have another episode out before New Year. But just the way things kind of happened, we weren't able to make that happen. So apologies. That last episode that I said was our second last of the year was actually our last of the year.
Wait, to be fair, we did actually, I was over in Glasgow and we were looking to try and get a place for us to record it, but actually all podcast studios in Glasgow were closed until the 3rd and I was away by the 3rd. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's what it
But
is.
that is what it is. We're here now. We're back. I'll try my hardest this year to not sleep through an episode recording. Well, I've given up the booze though, so I don't see it happening anytime soon.
Fair play. I'm absolutely going to grill you if you do sleep through one though.
uh, Speaking of sleeping, did you see my story the other day?
I seen you hurt yourself, did you?
Hurt myself, mate. Sleeping. I am still fucked. That was Monday night. It's now Friday morning, and I'm still on painkillers and anti-inflammatories.
What were your symptoms, sir?
My left trap, right? I woke up Tuesday morning, felt great, had a fantastic sleep, sat up, and I let out a little squeal like a wee bitch, like the wee bitch I am. The pain was, it's not nerve. Like a few people said, if you got a trapped nerve, it's muscular. I can feel that deep, intense, like muscle pain, and my muscles starting to cramp. If I stand up too long because I'm tense, it starts to cramp and it gives me a wee bit of bother. But Tuesday was awful. I had so many painkillers in my system to try and get me through my shift in the gym. Couldn't hold my head up straight. I had to slouch, like kind of slump over to the right just to keep stretching out my left trap. But I never realised how much we use our traps for everyday things. Anything that caused my trap to slightly contract was fucking agony. It was so sore. I picked up a glass of water with my right hand. My right hand and my left trap went, fuck that.
To be, to be fair, mate, I think your traps are there to design that your shoulders don't get ripped out their sockets. So anything that involves your shoulders and that involves just moving your arms is going to be, yeah, painful. I've
But
actually
that's what I mean though. Like, I was using my right hand and it was my left trap that went, nope.
yeah, I've got, I've got a client, Catherine, that she's dealt with an ongoing trap issue for about a year, and she's like, it's honestly the worst thing. She's like, I can't even walk anymore. When I do steps, 3,000 steps, she's like, I can feel it radiating all the way down my like back into my neck into. Like, I was like, yeah, that sounds grim. To be fair, like,
Yeah. I like when the painkillers start to wear off for me, because I usually do like 4 hours kind of back to back classes in PT. So the first two are fine. And then the third one is the painkillers are starting to wear off a wee bit, and then by the fourth one, I'm like fully cramping, and I'm just walking about like trying to squeeze my muscle, to kind of relieve me of that uncomfortable feeling. But oh fucking, it's always the daftest things, eh? I got back to training Sunday and Monday there, felt great. Yeah, just slept funny on Monday, and that's been me fucked since.
the only time I ever get sore is genuinely when either I stop training or I go to sleep. Like it's the two things that make me sore. You wake up one day and you're like, oh fuck, my back's sore. Don't even know where it came from.
Oh, the joys of getting older. Eh? I miss being younger when you could literally fall down a flight of stairs and bounce back up and be absolutely fine.
Mate, 100%. You're like a Nokia 3310.
Oh, mate, honest to God, what was it like? Whereas, like nowadays, just obviously the older we get, even though we look after ourselves, like we take note of what we're putting in our body, we exercise, we lift weights, we strength train. Sleeping is the one that fucks us up the most. It is crazy.
I tell you what, mate, just on that as well. Knees, mate. My knees haven't felt good for about 5 years now. And it's not, I was warned about it, but I'm like, my knees just feel like achy all the time, mate. It's very rare that I can. Do you know what? I play five-a-side once a week. And I think out the last 2024, I think there was 2 weeks and I noticed it straight away. I'm like, My knees actually don't hurt tonight. And I was like, I can turn. I can actually turn and not feel like a grimace every time I do it. And like the two times stood out to me. I was like, that's great, that is. But yeah, it's a small wins when you get over the age of 30, isn't
Ah, 100%, 100%. I cannot wait for my next injury-free sleep.
it?
Can't
Just
wait.
free sleep. Yeah. Safe sleeping, kids.
Honestly, look after yourself, everybody, because it's you never know when it's going to creep up and fucking get you.
It's tough out
I
there.
have, this is a slight change of subject. I have a question for you as well. I heard this on a podcast the other day, and it actually got me thinking, and I think it would be good to talk about. So, obviously, we've spoken about tracking calories before on the podcast. We are massive advocates for it,
Yep.
but a lot of people don't like it,
Yep.
can't be asked with it, or it's too difficult for them, and they would rather just intuitively eat. Even like if they're trying to lose weight, they'd rather just intuitively eat. That is the end goal, right? Intuitively eating and being able to lose weight is fucking amazing. However, I don't believe you can intuitively eat unless you track your calories first, unless you're really dialed in with your diet for maybe 8, 10, 12 weeks. You do not know how to intuitively eat because you do not have the knowledge, you do not have the information, and you do not have the know-how to intuitively eat. What do you think about that?
Well, it's the same people who are tracking Chinese takeaways as 400 calories that want to intuitively eat. So your intuition's wrong.
Yeah, precisely so.
Problem is, like, intuitive eating was something that's very like natural, or should feel very natural to us, because we literally have like thousands of years of managing to get to this position. Like, we're here today because our ancestors done a pretty good fucking job of intuitively eating and not killing themselves. But problem is, in the last 100 years, we've now like discovered how to make food really, really tasty, and with that, there's a mixture of carbs, fats, salts, things that didn't exist that are literally just there to hit flavour sensors. But like, very easy to get a 1,800 calorie meal now and not think twice about it, whereas couldn't get that before. So it's difficult if you don't actually know. Like, a lot of people still would look at a burger and think, "Oh, that's 800 calories." And like, yeah, add the extra 1,000 calories onto that, and that's probably still not including the sauces and chips that you've got on the side. So yeah, it's difficult to intuitively, and I do feel for people on this. But you're wrong, and there's a reason. Like, the thing is, I've never seen anybody who's intuitively eaten who's not restricting something. Like, you need to restrict something to intuitively eat and get
Yeah.
results. And if you want to do that, it's fine, but it wouldn't be my way of doing it.
It's definitely no my recommended way of doing it as well. But yeah, like intuitively eating, sorry, that's the end game. Like that is final boss. That is once you've blasted your way through 99 levels of tracking your food. The final level is intuitively eating. But even after being super meticulous, we are tracking. Like, I've tracked for years, you've tracked for years. Are you confident enough to say that you could get to, um, let's say you wanted to lose 5 kilo to trim up a wee bit? Are you confident enough to say that you could do that intuitively without tracking? Be honest.
No, not really. If I was doing it, I'd have to do it to a point where I'd be looking at things that are already pre-cooked and pre-measured. So, like, I'd
Yeah,
have to be looking at, there's half a bag of basmati rice, there's 200 grams of chicken that's packeted, so I know what it was, and I could roughly do it in my head and then standardize it. But um, could I do it? Yes. Would it be extremely difficult, extremely taxing? And yeah, I wouldn't fancy it. No, no, wouldn't be my way to do it. No.
I just speaking about extremely taxing, I think the brain power that we would need to use to intuitively eat and get into semi-decent nick would be more than just using NutriCheck or MyFitnessPal.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So it's, you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of counterproductive. I want to intuitively eat. That's fair enough, but you're going to use more brain power. You're going to be more exhausted at night trying to figure out what the fuck and how much you're putting in into your body. Plus, like, if you're intuitively eating as well, and especially people that don't have a high protein diet, which is the vast majority of people that, that just kind of lives a kind of general population life. you're going to lose a lot of muscle mass as well. So if you want to get into some decent shape and you try to intuitively eat on a lower protein diet, because again, you don't know how much protein you're bringing in, you're probably going to feel a wee bit jobbing. You're going to feel like it was a wee bit pointless because you've not actually changed your body composition. Your physique's still the same. You're just a smaller version of your previous self, because you've basically just over restricted.
Mate, I'm not going to lie. The majority of people that I speak to, the nutrition's honking. Like
Mhm.
it's genuinely fucking shocking. Like, and when they think they're doing the right thing, they're still not doing the right thing. So I'll bring out my dad on this one. Not that he's coming in to speak in the podcast, but
Get them on.
get him on. Yeah, I was like, active guy, goes to the gym a few times a week. Does hill walking at least once a week, every week of the year. With that, like, still thinks it's been healthy having like a bowl of cornflakes in the morning. Like that's a good breakfast. Still
Yeah.
thinks that like whatever having dinner with like a bowl of pasta and a glass of fresh orange juice is good for you. And like that's not his fault. That's just the level of education that's there at one point. And I'm like, very difficult to intuitively eat when you don't actually know the numbers that are in your food in the first place. And as you touched on, protein tends to be very, very low. Like bowl of cornflakes, you're not getting any protein. And then pasta in the evening time, still not getting any protein.
Aye.
So, right.
Lack of protein, lack of fiber.
Protein, fibre, it's going to make you not feel the best. Your energy levels are going to be up, down, and round the corner. And realistically, your bowl of pasta is probably, I don't know, 1,000 calories. Like, that same person will tell you they probably don't eat a lot. Not saying that my dad
Yes.
said that. Like, I'm sure, like, I'm probably giving him a hard time here. He probably doesn't eat a bowl of pasta in the evening time. But, like, it's just more of a case of bringing an example up of, like, typical things that you see in the house.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I was going to say, like, there's not... He's probably not going to lose 1,000 calories in that, but like it's a hard pill to swallow when you say to him, like, yeah, mate, it's 1,000 calories. You probably would be better, just not better, but you could actually get something from the takeaway. Like, just not far off the same calories as what you're having. Your bowl of pasta, think you're being healthy.
Aye, 100%. Completely agree. Track your fucking calories. Stop being lazy. Track your fucking calories. Don't worry if you can't figure it out at the start. It is a skill. You're going to have to learn it. The more you do it, the better you're going to get at it. But track your fucking calories.
I would, yeah, I'm going to add to that. Like, I can understand the reasons and like the limitations as to why people don't, because there are like it's a skill. As Gary said, it's a skill. It's hard to pick up, but we are moving on with technology and everything else. And probably 10 years time, me and Gary will be doing this podcast. It'll be AI that have taken over us anyway. But like realistically, like you are doing yourself out of a healthier, happier, leaner future if you don't learn how to use my fitness pal at very least. I'm going to plug something here. I have my fitness pal guide that I am happy to send anybody, and I'll do it for
Yes.
free. So yeah, send us a message or leave something under the podcast, and I'll send it over to you. No questions asked.
There we go. What about NutriCheck? I've never used it, but I've heard it's very user friendly as well. Have you ever dabbled in the old NutriCheck?
Mate, I patched it after about 3 days because it kept sending me notifications. It was doing my nutting. It was 11 o'clock. It was going to be logged your lunch yet. And I'm like, it's fucking 11, mate. I've barely had breakfast yet. So, yeah, I've heard it's decent, but nah, I haven't followed on with it for too long.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Right, let me ask you a personal question.
Well, fuck person. Right, go on.
What's your goals for 2025?
Slowing down is a big one. Have more fun and observe myself more. I went deep into last year being one of the toughest years of my life, and probably got myself down a hole chasing numbers business wise, chasing trying to be in a position. Like, to be fair, mate, I spoke to you. You're actually not sounding like you're in a dissimilar position where you're trying to set up a life for a baby that isn't quite there, and trying to give,
Hmm.
in my case, Jen, your case, Rachel, the opportunity not to go back to work and all that. So I literally, I don't want to say ended myself, but I was just laptop all the time. Like, I literally got AJ to drop my laptop down to the hospital after Finn had been born so that I could do setups at when Jen was sleeping at 5 in the morning after Finn had been born. So um, I dug myself into a hole. I was in the red for a lot, so I've no issue saying that this year is to pull back a little bit, have a bit more fun, set my diary up the way that I want to, not the way that I think that everybody else likes
Yeah.
it. And I have done that. And from a business point of view and from a lifestyle point of view, that's it. Taking it easy. I'm fucking drinking tea now, mate. Drinking tea on the regular. So
What?
I know I've cut the caffeine down from. I kept justifying to myself that I'm like, you know what, I'm keeping caffeine like 500 milligrams a day because you know what, I'm just pushing right now. But you know what, when I slow down, but I've been doing that since I've had the gym, mate, and I'm like, that's now 3 4 years I've just been rattling caffeine into me. Not to the point where it's like 7 a day, but that is the justification. I'm always like, oh, people
Mhm.
are always worse than me, but I'm like, that's not acceptable. So, just 1 cup of coffee in the mornings, the rest of it just non-stimulant. Observe myself, and I'm not drinking anymore. So when I start to feel cravings, urges, when I start to feel tired, whatever, observe what that looks like and try and put things in place so that it doesn't. On a completely other end of the spectrum, fitness goals are to deadlift 300 kilos and bench press 180. So that is
What's your numbers just now?
so I hadn't deadlifted in a couple of years, like properly, as in like I'd done it every once in a wee while, but I never actually trained it. So it's only the last month and a half I've been doing it. It was 220, I think I got. I still haven't decided between conventional and sumo. Sumo
Right.
feels a lot better, but conventional I can definitely lift a lot more. So yeah, 220 on that. But bench press actually, I'm ahead of target at that at the moment. I think I got no, I did. I got 150 bench press, and considering I'm only just ramping up food at the moment, like I've been in a deficit really for large parts of last year and the year before. Yeah, looking forward to smashing that. Oh, and a sub 20-minute 5K is the goal on that.
Fuck me, that's amazing.
Well, I mean, that's to keep me lean so I don't get chasing the fact that I could just get really, really fat and then go for a 300 kilo deadlift and weigh 290 kilos as I do it. What was I going to say? What's yours?
Uh, be an absolutely heavy sound da.
Heavy sound, damn it.
Heavy sound da. Mine's is quite similar to yours, with regards to kind of being more present and, just kind of not put. I know it's not a bad thing to put a lot of energy into your work, because it speaks volumes, for you as an individual. However, I don't want to. I don't want it to be at the detriment of my relationship with Rachel, my relationship with myself, and obviously for baby arriving as well. So, yeah, be more present. Um, do things, learn to say no a lot more as well. Do things that I want to do rather than things I feel like I have to do. Um, Performance goals, I want to PB all three lifts plus overhead press as well. So yeah, bench press, squat, deadlift. I haven't PB'd a squat since 2017.
Fuck.
PB deadlift and bench last year, as you know,
Yeah, yeah.
and I PB'd overhead press last year as well. So the target is to PB all four of those lifts this year. I think I can get it by summer. Um, I weighed in this morning at the heaviest I've ever been in my whole entire life. Uh, the downsides to that is t-shirts are feeling a wee bit snug.
Yeah.
I'm feeling,
Warm
I,
though. Bet you're warm though, mate.
I'm roasting. I feel how Rachel looks right now, and she's 32 weeks pregnant.
Twins, is it?
But the good thing about that is my strength is going up. It was going up before I injured myself sleeping. But I think yeah, a mini tidy up phase is necessary. I'm actually starting that today because why wait till Monday? Um, so I'm starting a little kind of tidy up phase today, about 8 weeks, and just a slight deficit. I don't want to go too heavy because I don't want to lose the strength that I've gained by becoming a fat bastard. Um, but yeah, like the most important goal for me this year is, like I said, to be more present. I need to start saying no. I know how to say no, and I've done it previously. But over the last kind of year and a bit, especially since we found out we're having a baby, it's just been 100 mile an hour. I've been too scared to say no because I'm always thinking about I need to make sure I have enough money in the bank for baby coming. I want to be in a position financially. You touched on it. I want to be in a position financially that Rachel has the option of taking a year maternity. I don't want her to feel like she's getting forced back to work after 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, however long it is that we can live comfortably. I want her to have that option of being able to do that. So I need to put a plan in place of how I'm going to actually go about doing that. So I need to sit down. I'm going to sit down over this weekend. I've not been able to do it so far because I am currently going through app build number two in the space of a year, and it is fucking stressful. Do not recommend building two apps in a year. It is crazy. So that's taken a lot of my focus, the last kind of 4 weeks or so. But we launch on Monday, so things will start to slow down a tad. And then I can start really sitting down and getting a good solid kind of battle plan, game plan in place, shall we say. As you can see by my camera as well, I'm still surrounded by boxes and shit. So that's also a wee bit stressful. I don't know if you've ever been surrounded by like dirty laundry and boxes and shit, but it really fucks with your head. You can't really kind of relax. Do you know what I mean? So that's a big focus for January is get rid of these boxes out of my office slash spare room slash baby's future room.
Mate, last year I was in the office upstairs. Jane just subtly, I say subtly, just started moving all of Finn's stuff in there. There was boxes that were labelled from 0 to 3 months, 3 to 6 months, 6 to 8. He's essentially got a wardrobe up until he's about 18 years old at the moment. It's just fucking different boxes. He's got more kit than I do, but I got to the point where I was looking about going, well, this definitely isn't in my room anymore. So Jen literally went, right, this weekend you're getting moved out. And I was like, well, where the fuck am I moving to? So I've been put downstairs at the moment. But for what it's worth, mate, just on your thing, you're never going to feel, and this is a hard one for me to take as well, you're never going to feel, no matter how much money you've got in bank, that you're ready for it. For the baby come. Genuinely, it's not like if you have a really good month for 2 months, whatever. Certainly my mind frame was going. I just need another one of those, another one of those
Yeah.
more cushion. Do you know what? If I'd done this, it starts to equate to that. And actually, where I was naive in my blind spots were, I justified my head. It's okay for me not to be present in doing the things that I enjoy or doing the things to like. For me and Jen, I actually think me and Jen didn't go out for dinner for like don't know 2 and 3 months or something like that. And it was like it was like it was. It's a period of time where you just need to be careful, mindful, all that stuff, present and all that pish.
Mhm.
But like I don't want to undermine the fact that you do need to make sure that you're careful with yourself. Here, if you ever need a chat on that. But also, I was going to say, do you want to maybe let people know what the situation is with your wee cut at the moment? Because a lot of people will be doing something similar. So, what are the numbers? What are you doing to get yourself in this mini shred? What are we doing, carry
Just
wise,
a mini shred.
wise? What are you doing? What are you doing?
This
What's
sounds
happening?
good. Let's talk about it. So, I'll start off by letting everybody know how much the scales say I weigh.
Ready for this?
Notice how I said the scales say I weigh. So this morning, went right. We'll go back. We'll dial it back a couple of years just quickly, just to paint a picture. So when I started training with Kyle, at that point in my life, I was the heaviest I've ever been, and I was about 85 kilo, 85 and a half kilo ish. This morning I was 88.1. So I
80
done Christmas right.
class, class.
So to tidy it up, I am starting on 2,200 calories. That will see me in a bit of a deficit if I feel that the weight's going down too quickly. I will up it slightly because I'm doing quite a lot of steps. Obviously, working in a gym, I'm hitting 15, 16, sometimes even 20,000 steps in a day. So that's the plan of attack just yet. I'm lifting weights. I was planning on lifting weights 4 times a week before I slept funny. But I'm hoping to get back into some form of lifting this weekend. I can do certain movements that doesn't aggravate it. So I'm just going to get in and just move. I need to move. I need to do something because I'm getting a wee bit antsy at you calculating up some
Yeah,
things.
yeah, 100%.
What are you calculating?
I'm just trying to see your deficit at the moment. You are 34. Am I right in saying that? 34?
Yes, thanks
Yeah,
for letting everybody know.
that's fine. What I was going to say,
Kyle's,
rough.
for listeners, Spotify listeners, Kyle's on his laptop,
Yeah.
or computer, sorry, calculating my numbers that I've just given.
I'm just interested in the science behind it. You're definitely, yeah, you are in this. I just want to see roughly how much it is. Steps wise, you're fairly active at the moment. Would you say that you're kind of 12,000 steps above that, or what?
Minimum, easy.
Right.
I do that without even thinking.
Yeah, I mean, you're definitely above a 25% deficit. Like, it's as much as you're saying it's a subtle deficit, it's actually fairly aggressive. Like, you'd be expecting you dropping at least 1 to 1.5% your body weight per week, especially the first couple of weeks on that.
We can work with that, but if it's even more than that, then I will be eating more.
Tell you what, we'll reassess it next week. We'll ask you what the total amount lost was, and then the viewers can decide if Gary's absolutely fucking his diet because he's not logging his food properly.
88.1, and that's his Friday the
10th.
10th of January. Cool. So we'll check in again on Friday the 17th, and it's good that you said that because it's going to hold me accountable.
Yeah, and I was going to say people can start holding you to your excuses that are coming a bit. So,
Yes. Shall we talk about goal setting as well? Because a lot of people come into January with big aspirations and big fitness goals for the year ahead. And then by February, they maybe realise that the goal that they set is too big. And then they think, what's the fucking point? And just give up entirely.
okay.
I mean,
Um,
not even by February, usually by about the second, usually by this time, second week in January, people are starting to kind of dwindle off and not stick to their New Year's resolutions and realize that the goals they've set is maybe a wee bit kind of out of their reach. Um, and you go.
I was going to say there's three PTs that I seen on my news feed last week who put their goals for 2025 up. It wasn't you, so I don't even know if you did or you didn't. So
Didn't that.
no, that's fine. Just in case you think I'm having a dig at you, I've got no issue with people again putting things out there. I think it helps with accountability. But it's also the same three PTs who've done the same the last 3 or 4 years and they've got fucking no results to show for it.
Mhm.
And it's always gets to April and go, oh, actually, do you know what? Life got in the way and that's okay. And it becomes this big cycle. You could do a flow chart of it of going, set goals that are unachievable, understand that understand that it was unsustainable to get there, say that life got in the way, start the process again. So
Yeah.
it's like a 4 month cycle that they constantly follow, yet have never done anything in their PT career. Um, that's on an amplified part of it, but people do the same. And like I've often had people send me pictures of what they want to look like, and I'm not here to tell you it's not realistic, but it's not realistic in a 4 month period. I've
Yeah.
literally been sent pictures of like people who you can tell who've worked for years to be like Chris Hemsworth. Like I've genuinely got sent a picture of a bodybuilder at one point. I think it was wasn't Ronnie Coleman, but it was like a big guy, and like genuinely the guy was being serious, going, "I want to look like him." Like I thought it was a piss take, but he was being serious. I'm like, mate, that's you're talking about somebody who's literally on stage competing to look like the best human being ever, and you think you can look like him in 6 weeks, and you've still got rolls in your belly. Like, what the fuck? Like,
No amount of steroids is going to get that sorted.
no amount of steroids, but um, I personally just think that like as the comparison thing, like don't look at other people's success and go, that's where I want to be. Like again, you can use it for inspiration, but don't use it as I want to look at and be disappointed if you don't. I think looking at how do you get yourself to a better version of
Mhm.
you? Like if channel how you feel about yourself right now. Like go, right, am I feeling like I'm carrying a wee bit too much at the moment? Would I be better? When's the last time I felt good about myself? Ask those questions. When did I feel, what did my life look like when I felt good? Have I not felt good about myself? Right, cool. Well, if nothing changes, nothing's going to change. What do I need to change? And a lot of the time it's not so much I'm dealing with a lot of this right now because of inbound inquiries and having chats, but a lot of the time it's down to putting energy into things that don't particularly make a massive difference and under look like not looking at the things that do. So right now it's a big emphasis on a lot of time I'm going to the gym and I'm going to the gym 5 times or 6 times a week. And you ask MD how often can you go to the gym? They're like, oh, I could go 6 times. I'm like, don't need you to go 6 times to see the time that I'd rather you spend. Make better food choices.
Yeah.
Go out a walk. The hard thing right now isn't going to the gym, albeit it's shit. You get that, but see going outside when it's -3 degrees and try to get 10,000 steps a day. Do that for the period of a year. I guarantee every single person listening to this, if you had that as your minimum capacity, is doing 10,000 steps a year, 10,000 steps a year, 10,000 steps through the course of the year, you'd end up in a far better place. One of the things I loved is boy Alex, that I coach, he messaged me off his work, moaned about steps for fucking months. But he was like, he sent me a screenshot of his roundup of the year. He went, do you know what? I didn't actually realise, but he's like, I've averaged 10,400 steps through the course of the entire year. He's like, some days
Right.
obviously didn't, some days were higher, but he's like,
Yeah.
massive. And I'm like, that's what it's about. It's like, it's not about you fucking bragging at the fact that you got 3 weeks in January, you got 10,000 steps. It's about, can you do that in March, April, May, June? And the fact that he's now going, I take the missus out and we go a walk. I'm so busy at work, I didn't even realise how much time that now gives us that we can speak. He's like, I was doing it through Christmas when you were telling me I didn't actually have any targets. I'm like, 100%, mate, that's what lifestyle change is. It's being able to get those type of changes rather than, again, not bash in the gym. Fucking absolutely get to the gym. It will change your life as well. But like that's not going to give you the movement long term that you want, if that makes sense.
I think a lot of people they see the end product, the finished article, and try to get there as quickly as possible, and end up overdoing it in the gym, going 6 days a week, forcing themselves to go 6 days a week, don't fuel their body or don't fuel their body with the right amount of food and the right types of food, and then they just get really disheartened, feel like they're broken, um, give up entirely, and end up reverting back to their original starting point, sometimes even worse than their original starting point. And you mentioned a wee thing as well that I wanted to touch on too, and it was about like when was the last time I felt good? What was going on in my life? What was happening in my life? When this is something that I've experienced a lot, right? When people if I was to ask someone that question, they rather than them thinking about what was going on in and around their life, they would think about the number that it said on the scale. When was the last time I felt good? When it said 10 stone on the scale. When was the last time I felt good? When I weighed 135 pounds. It isn't when I was going out regular hikes every week, when I was getting my 10k steps in a day, when I was playing five-a-side once or twice a week. It's always correlated to a specific number. And I feel like that's one of the biggest problems that we face in the current day and age, especially in the fitness industry. Like everybody's driven to get to a number because they feel like that number is going to give them happiness when it couldn't be so fucking far from the truth. What happens when you get to that number and you still feel shite, you still feel miserable, you still don't have energy, you don't speak to your pals, you don't see your family? What is going to happen when you get to that number? What's the next goal that you're going to aim for? Do you know what I mean? What's the next step? You're still Nothing's going to change. You're still going to be feeling like jobby. Do things that make you happy and actually complement your lifestyle and the lifestyle that you want to lead. It's important that you start doing things that are actually going to push you towards that lifestyle that you want to live. Fake it until you make it, in a sense. But when it comes to goal setting as well, and achieving those goals, you have to start enforcing those habits that are going to help rather than again feeling like you're forcing yourself to do shit that you don't want to do, because it's no fun if you're trying to force yourself to do shit that you don't want to do. Where's the enjoyment in that? You're going to give up before you even give yourself a chance to get started. And people were like really big. I'm going to go back to the weight loss goals. People were really big weight loss goals, weight loss targets. Let's say you want to lose 50 pounds this year, right? That's roughly a pound a week from now. That is 100% achievable, but you have to start by losing £1 per week. Don't see it as £50 is the goal. Let's try and get there as quickly as possible. Start by losing your first pound in week one, and then you lose another pound in week two. Then you lose another pound in week three. You have to make these smaller, more achievable goals rather than just always looking at the end goal and looking at the bigger goal. You cannot reach that bigger goal without smaller achievable goals. Does that make sense?
100%. I would also say, right, if you've got £50 to lose, the first way you're going to lose £50 is understand how you've put £50 on in the first place. And once you accept accountability for some of the things that have changed, and some that might not be your fault, and some of them might be, it doesn't matter. But either way, it might not be your, what's the word? It's not your, I can't remember, but it's your responsibility to look after it anyway. It might not be
Mhm.
you that caused it, but it's your responsibility to look after it now anyway. A lot of time you touched on scale weight and everything else. I'm actually not against scale weight because I do think it has a correlation
Mhm.
to your body composition long term. But the problem that most people have is the idea behind it. So, you particularly when you ask somebody the last time they felt good and they mention a weight, I always ask, well, what was the difference in your lifestyle circumstances then versus now? And sometimes it's like, oh, I was 19 and went to the gym 6 days a week and literally was eating fucking salads. And like, well, you've got 3 kids now and you've got a job that keeps you there from 9 till it's meant to be 5, but your boss gives you extra work, so you're there till 7. And sometimes when traffic, you don't get home till 8. So you tell me where we're going to be able to manage that level of stress. That's not to say you can't get in absolutely great shape. If anything, I would argue you could probably get in better shape, but it is going to take more intelligence to get there than just
Mhm.
hoping things are going to fall into place, and that's where the tough one is. It's not massive in terms of how it changes, but as you get older, it is your metabolism does slow down. Fucking controversial to throw that out there. Sure, there'll be people latching on to that, going, "Oh, it's definitely my metabolism." It's
My
fucking
slow
not.
metabolism. It's my underactive thyroid.
I was going to put that up on Instagram the other day. I thought it was too bitchy. I was at the gym 2 days in a row at 7 in the morning, and the place was fucking dead. And I was like, "Oh, must be people's metabolisms are the reason that they're not getting results, not the fact that it's fucking empty."
Do it.
Um,
Okay, I dare you. I double dare you.
oh mate, I don't know what I was like. I must be getting soft in my old age because I'm like, it's probably even too controversial for me. But
Shite
um,
bag if you don't.
I'm a shite bag. That is what it is. I'm not saying what I'm not saying. But yeah, I think taking accountability for what's got you in that position in the first place. And look, it might be the fact that you've taken a stressful job because you had to provide. Like I've just talked about how stressful it was for me last year, having to try and look at providing. I understand that. But let's not try and fight the battle of doing things that you can't and physically can't do at the moment. Let's try and find a way that we can find a, don't want to say seamless structure, but as frictionless a structure as we can that actually starts to get you moving in the right direction. It might be as simple as, can you go a 15-minute walk before you get in the car to go to work in the morning? It could be, could you park further away every single day? It could
Mhm.
be, do you now go on your lunch break, you get up from your office desk and you go to your local shop to get a coffee? It could be at the evening time, like, do you go a half-hour walk with your partner? If you don't have a partner, fucking find a partner, find a friend, find somebody.
Go
Um,
walking and look for one.
Go for walking. Yeah, it's probably frowned upon in a lot of places, but yeah, fucking do it. Get your steps in, but be consistent. But yeah, I think those things. Can you standardise your breakfast, lunch, and dinner, even for a short period of time? Have you given anything a go that you've lasted 90 days with? Because I promise you, if you do those things and it lasts that period of time, you'll manage to do it. But you are going to have to understand that there's going to be some behavioural changes. One of the things that I've actually had a conversation with, there's 2 guys who signed up, both working in the same place, but one of them in particular very, very picky about his food, and we're trying to navigate food because food's a big thing. But it's almost like I got very, as much as he was claiming he was willing to change, a lot of it was like, don't know if he actually was. When you looked at his actions around it, I was like, I don't actually know if he is willing to change some of the foods that he was having. But you very much have to break it down, go, yes, mate, but if things don't change, things aren't going to change. I will work with you in terms of, I think I gave him 5 different breakfast options, but he was looking for more. And I'm like, mate,
Mhm.
we can't, we're not going anymore, because realistically, we're starting to get like Netflix, mate. If I give you any more options, you're just going to get decision fatigue. If it's one of those 5 different options, you don't even need to have breakfast, mate. It can be lunch, it can be, you can push it out, whatever. But realistically, we are going to have to start dialing these things in. You can't continue with the behaviours. I did actually say to him, I was like, is there anything that I could say or do right now that's going to make this even easier for you? Is there anything that I can put in place? Well, I'll try and work with it. And when you boiled it down, there wasn't. It's just an unwillingness to actually change from the behaviour in the first place. So there is going to have to be an acceptance of what got you there in the first place, and actually the fact that, like, you are going to have to force this to start off with. You might find that motivation might be a little bit higher right now because it's born out of a place of like you feel shit, and that's fine. But realistically, it needs to be there needs to be as frictionless as you can, but understand there needs to be an element of change there, and you need to force it
Yeah.
before it becomes natural.
100%. I don't think anybody in history of forever has changed without things changing.
I like that, the history of forever.
The history of forever. Nobody has changed without something changing, and it's usually the things that you don't want to change that have to change, like Guy Ree's breakfast, like habits, bad habits that you've picked up over, the last 30, 40, 50 years, however many years you've been on the planet. It's usually those ones that do have to change for you to then start progressing forward towards towards a better of yourself. The reality of it is, it's not going to be easy. Like, if it was easy, then me and Kyle wouldn't have a job. There would be no point in PTs and coaches helping kind of guide you through those tough periods of your life when you do want to make a change. It's going to be hard. You're going to wake up some mornings and think, I can't be fucked with this. If you can get through those days where you cannot be fucked, then you are going to set yourself up for that kind of longer term success that you really crave. A lot of people think it's that finished product, that bodybuilder image that they really want, when in reality it's just better habits, a better way of living the life, a more enjoyable way of living the life, less restriction, a wee bit more freedom in and around food, in and around your daily choices of kind of what you're up to activity wise, etc. Um, that is really what people are after, but it's not. It's hard for us as coaches to tell people that, because it's not fancy, it's not all singing, it's not all dancing. Um, if you were to, if you were realistically, if you were to put your money down and pay for a coach, and they want to tell you, right, it's the habits that you want to change rather than you want to look like fucking a Hemsworth brother. You're going to take your money back and say, fuck that. I'm not paying you to instill better habits into me. I'm paying you to make me look or to help me look like Chris Hemsworth. So accepting as well that it is going to be difficult, and you're going to have to make those changes that you maybe don't want to necessarily make at the beginning. That yeah, if you can really have a sit down and a long hard look at yourself, then you will go far, but it is going to be shite. We try and make it as fun and as enjoyable as possible. But yeah, it's going to be tough.
Sorry, you might have noticed, you might not have noticed, but I had to pause it there because my bladder is like a fucking crisp packet. So,
I think the only people that would notice are people that are watching when they see is changing the way we were sitting in a split second.
probably see me rattling, like tapping my feet for about a minute and a half.
I'm not gonna lie. Like, I seen your camera shaking, and I thought Kyle's really agreeing with me, like hard on what I'm saying here, because you were sitting just like that, and I thought he's fucking really into what I'm saying. No, it turns out you just needed a pee.
No, I was going to say, if you ever think I'm agreeing with me, it's just probably I need the toilet. um, but actually, one of the things just on the back of what you said, I think is sometimes like I get my current guys to put in like what success to them would be in 2025. I get them to do it as a reflection of what 2024 was, but then what's the goals for this year. Part of my job is to look at what is achievable, what's not achievable. Like, very rarely I ever go, that's never going to fucking happen. I need to be the biggest supporter, and I'll always go, if there's a way, then absolutely do it. If everybody else is telling you you can't do that, I'll be like, yes, you fucking can. Here's the way you do it. But a lot of it has been disrespectful. I had a conversation with another coach last year about this, and they were essentially saying how, what was the words they were using? What would be your opinion, and like, if you're not in it to win it, then there's no point in doing it. I'm like, the first time you do anything, it's like playing darts. You just need to try and hit the board. After you get an idea of what that looks like, then you can start to ramp things up and start aiming for things. But I see so many people go, oh, I'm going to do a marathon, but I'm going to do it in this time. I'm going to
Yeah.
run a half marathon. I'm going to do it in this time. I'm going to 10K. I'm going to do a high rocks. I'm going to do it in sub 115. I'm going to do I'm going to get shredded, and I'm going to be this weight. And I'm like, just focus on fucking doing the thing in the first place. Like, let's not worry too much about like the there's being almost, from my opinion, disrespectful to the goal in the first place. I think it's once you've hit it and once you've got good experience of knowing, well, you've done it long enough, then 100% we can start to aim and refine these things. But as you touched on, like you might be a wee bit big boned with a thick layer on you at the moment, but realistically, for you've got experience weight loss, so you probably do have an understanding of in 8 weeks. You might not have an exact weight loss target, but you've probably got a rough idea in your mind. Like doing me and you, it'd probably be fair to say if you've done 8 weeks of dieting and you ended up at 87.2 kilos, you're not going to be buzzing about it. Like you'll be like, fuck, we would have probably not done that right. Whereas you probably do have an understanding that you're probably going to end up sub 84, probably along that way, and you'd probably be comfortable enough for that. But for the majority of people, it is right. What can we do to lose half a kilo a week, a kilo a week, whatever that is for you? And more so than progress orientated, what's the process? How do we? You need to know the progress is working ultimately, but what's the process you put in place? Is it again 10,000 steps a day? Is it, like I just said, having a pint glass of water first thing in the morning, trying not to wet yourself during the podcast? Is it going to the gym 2 to 4 times a week? Is it saying no to things? What is your things that you can repeat daily and weekly? And you do that over the course of not just 2 months, do that over the course of a year. What's the things that you can do? I've I've typically been in the opinion, especially lately, if I can't see myself doing it in 6 months or a year, it's very unlikely I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
I'm going to caveat that with there are certain things you are going to have periods of imbalance where you need to push things a little bit. Being honest, I've done fucking 16,000 steps a day for a period of time. I couldn't see myself doing that in 6 months, a year's time,
Yeah.
but what I could always see is me having a step target just to cover myself on that when I say it.
Yeah. Aye, just sometimes
Yeah,
you want
sometimes.
to
Sometimes it's okay.
push your boundaries. Um, this is not related to anything we've just been talking about. Were you in a fucking snood?
Is that all you've got to say, mate? Is that you're just lashing out now? Is that
I'm
what
asking the question. I've just noticed we've been talking for about 45 minutes, 50 minutes, and I've just realised that you were in a snood.
Tell you what, mate. I got up. I took the dog a walk. I washed my hair. Forgot to dry my hair. My hair froze. I was panicking because I didn't know whether to dry my hair or to just get on the podcast. And I chose the podcast, mate. So I've not even taken my snood off because you know what? It's still quite cold in this household. So wind your neck in, all right?
Jeez, oh, I fucking touched a nerve there, didn't I?
Here, actually, whilst I remember, and whilst we're off topic at the moment, Brian Johnson. Have you seen it?
On Netflix.
Netflix, mate. He's made a Netflix show.
Never watched it. Rachel
Oh,
was like, she was watching the trailer for it, and she's like, "Oh, I'm really, really interested in this guy." And I'm like, "Ah, done a podcast on it. Listen to
yeah.
it."
Jen was more or less the same. She was like, "Oh, have you seen this guy?" I was like, "Tell you, listen to the podcast."
I know, I
Um,
know.
fucking,
Our
I haven't
biggest
watched it
fucking
yet.
fan club. To be fair, mate, I've got a snood of my own on, as you can see.
Mate, it's just because I can't grow a beard. That's my issue.
It's because because everything's behind me right now. My beard trimmer's in one of those boxes, and I can't find it.
Have you got an alphabet chart up behind you?
No,
Well, I
it's a,
can't.
it's an Alpha Tech box.
Right, okay, never mind. It just looks like fucking. I was going to say, we're getting really advanced for the child.
No
Yeah.
yet, mate, no yet. Right, fuck, sorry.
Brian
Back to the
Johnson.
topic. Fuck, I shouldn't have taken that left turn because it's completely thrown me off. Right, fuck it. This is what I want to say, right? And we can kind of wrap up the podcast with
Don't
this as
let
well.
MD hold you back, mate. You say your piece, you
Let's
speak your truth.
let's make 2025 the year of being fucking selfish, prioritizing yourself, doing more things that you want to do, saying no more as well, and stop feeling fucking guilty for saying no. Learning how to say no and being okay with it is one of the most liberating experiences that you will ever go through in your entire life. It's going to be hard at first. When I started saying no at first, I was riddled with guilt, anxiety, things that were eating me up inside, and feeling shite in myself because I felt like I was letting someone down. But see, on the flip side of that, I was doing something that I wanted to do, and I was starting to do that more. And the more that I did that, the more that I realized. this is a lot fucking better for me than feeling like I have to do stuff to make other people like me, to feel accepted, to feel like this is the way I have to live my life, to have a group of friends, to have, family that like my um that like my company, that like my presence. That could not be so fucking far from the truth. When you start saying no and, like I said, accepting that you can say no, you're going to start having a different outlook in life. You're going to start seeing it from a different point of view, and you're probably going to find yourself being a hell of a lot fucking happier as well. So let's make 2025 the year that you prioritize yourself and you be fucking selfish. Be selfish.
I think you just, yeah, on that, it is observing yourself and understanding that, like, if there's something that consistently pops up in your life and it makes you feel, I don't necessarily know if I agree with if it's not a fuck yes, it's a no, because
Hmm.
there are points, like, if I
Oh,
only,
100%.
yeah, I was going to say,
100%.
there's definitely things I need to do. That I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm not massively into this, but you know what? The benefits other parts of my life. I'm just going to have to fucking suck a bit of dick and do this. But like, I think if you observe yourself and there's things that crop up and you're like regularly, like I'll give you an example of what mine was. So I was last year I was on the laptop a lot and I got asked by one of the local places if I would do like a class for them or a couple of classes for them a week. And it's like I can probably do it on like a covering basis. Like if you're stuck for shifts or whatever, it'll get me out of the house, it'll get me to do a wee bit. I mean, it forces me to go, whatever. The idea never really transpired the way that I kind of wanted to. It's not their fault. It's not my fault. It's just it never really transpired. It just always became as things got busier. I'm like, oh, do you know what? It's actually consuming a lot more of my time to
Hmm.
do this. It's like I was only doing it once a week, once every couple of weeks. I was like, I actually am not enjoying it. But I held on to that for probably a bit too long. But I was like, it probably took me a bit too long, in my opinion, to look at going. My feelings every time this comes up is a feeling of dread. It's a feeling of
Yeah.
I'd rather be doing something else. And I put it down to originally going, oh, maybe it's just the stresses outside of that. And actually, it was the one thing in my week where I'm like, the night before, I was like, I can't be arsed doing this. And then on the day, I'm like, I can't be arsed doing this. And do you know what? Ultimately, I end up having to have the conversation going, like, I know I originally said that this was something I'd do. It's not something I'm doing anymore. I'm not going to say I feel fucking phenomenal and massively better for it, but do you know what I don't have each week anymore? That feeling of anxiety, that feeling of, oh, do you know what? I've got that to do, or that's taken away from my time. It gives me a little bit more time on my whatever day it was to go, do you know what? Actually, I can catch up if I need to on this part, or I can do this, or I'm currently watching Dragon Ball Z, so it gives me half an hour to watch Dragon Ball Z, which is class.
Brilliant.
Yeah, but that'll make a big difference to who I am and how I turn up the rest of the week rather than that. Something small. Again, I probably didn't put it all down to that, but like, it could be for you. I spent years doing this myself. It's like, people you don't want to go out with, fucking go out with them. Like, genuinely don't go out with them. Like, nobody has to. I always love the people who, in a group where like Jen will be giving out about some of her mates, she'll be like, they never even told us why they're not coming. I'm like, fucking good. Do you know what? Good if they're not.
Aye.
I was like, if they don't want to come, don't come. It
They
doesn't need
don't
to.
need to.
Jen's got about 14 mates, and she's like, 13 of them will be meeting up, and she'll be like, but that one person didn't. I'm like, fucking. I was like, I've got three mates, and three of them don't turn up half the time. Like,
And then, do you know, just touching on that quickly as well, like when you start saying no, you find out who your true pals are.
100%. That's why I've got three mates. But you know, in all seriousness, I'm happy with that because, like, so I couldn't imagine. See these big groups that have got fucking like the Blazing Squad where they've got 20 of them. I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
you all have subgroups in there, and you half you don't like each other. You're just hanging about because you were mates at school or you were mates in circumstance. I'm like, I'm happy enough that the people I have. Somebody asked me this last year. One of my clients actually going, "Do you find? Do you think your clients like you?" I was like, I've literally built my life on a way that I want to live my life. I worked
Hmm.
for myself because I didn't want to work for anybody else. I surround myself. I speak the way I like to do it on Instagram. I like to do it here. I like to speak the way that I want to speak. And if people fit into that, fine. If people like me for it, then fine. If you don't, then fine. That's fine. I don't like everybody, and that's okay. But
Yeah.
I'm happy enough to have the free mates I do because you know what? I can speak the way that I want to. If I didn't fancy it on one of the evenings that we're meant to meet, I can say I'm no fancying it. Like if I can't make it at some point, I can't make it. and that's okay. They'll understand. They'll still be my mates. I can 110% know that they're not going to go behind my back and speak to another mate and go, "Oh, did you hear he cancelled? Fucking, you know what? He does that all the time. Like, fuck off. See the time.
100%.
See the time for that away." And you know what? I don't have those conversations either because you know what? I don't have 15 mates that I have to go. They didn't turn up as that reflection on me. I'm like, if you decided you weren't coming at some point, I'd be like, right, cool, Gary's not coming, but you know what? I'm sure I'll catch up with him at another point, and he's still my mate. Like,
100%.
fucking, that's what it is.
100%. I think a lot of people do struggle with that though. A lot of anxiety thinking that maybe they're to blame and whatnot. But yeah, listen, try your hardest, be as selfish as you can, to a certain degree. Learn to say no more, learn to accept that you're saying no, and I guarantee you, you will live the most liberating year of your life. And you'll find out who your true pals are.
I've just had a wee moment and said that I had three mates, and I'm like, I can only think of two off the top of my head. I'm missing somebody.
Ben, Rocky, and your man.
I was going to say, yeah, I think that's by default, isn't it? It's like when you're given the team that you didn't really want, but there you go.
uh, Anything
Oh,
else that you want to talk? Or what you
yeah,
got to say?
yeah. I had a few quick ones just off my chest.
Cool.
I was in, fuck, I was in a supplement shop the other day, and in the supplement shop there was a guy who was buying some stuff January, and he said, "Oh, I heard about this supplement. It had a few numbers and letters or whatever, right?" And
Okay.
the guy who in the supplement shop at the time was like, "Oh, MK677," and he was like, "Yeah, yeah." Now, for anybody who doesn't know, that's a SARM, so it's a selective androgen receptor molecule. It has not been passed as safe for human consumption. Actually, been proven that it causes growths and cancers. That if you've already got them, your body accelerates them. So, class, right? They get around selling them by putting on the labels. It's not for human consumption. It's for testing purposes only, but really the only thing you're allowed to test them on is rats. But with that said, people buy them for the purposes of
Yeah.
bodybuilding. What they claim to do, and the reason that people like the idea of them, they claim to be steroids without the side effects. So people who are on steroids, you typically see like females in particular, you see like a deepening of the voice. For males, it could be the fact that like their
Acne.
jawline changes, their like skin gets thinner, their hair gets baldy, baldy hair. Don't know if that. There was a guy in the gym the other day. There was a baldy guy drying his baldy bits, which was a fucking weird experience. He was drying his hair with a hairdryer. But anyway, sorry, I'm moving. I digress. So anyway, guy was in, and he was like, "Yeah, K67." So that sounds about right, yeah. So he's like, "Yeah, I'll take some of that." But I'm like, this guy within 20 seconds has heard something in work that day, has picked up NK677. It isn't as potent as a steroid. So we'll give you like a quarter of the results, but with the risk factors, whilst it might not make your balls shrivel or make you bald, I mean, you're literally talking about risking your life by increasing cancer on that. And I'm like, there
Aye.
you can. And to be fair, the guy, this was a brief interaction. I was in the supplement shop for about fucking 5 minutes. I'm like, if this is an ongoing thing day in, day out, I was like, this is the type of things that people do in January, where the guy's probably done this in January, not had a fucking clue what he's taking. I'm not saying he's going to end up with cancer, but he might. It might accelerate things in his body, doesn't know. But see, come April time, when he's, again, potentially not got the results that he wants, his testosterone levels might be a little bit all over the place because, you know what, it's still not regulated or tested what this stuff is anyway. And he's not feeling too great because it's highly poisonous to his body. I'm like,
Yeah.
just be careful what you're putting into your body, trips.
100%. Don't get sucked in to what some 18, 19, 20-year-old juiced up fitfluencer is telling you on Instagram. Is that your cat's fighting?
Mate, it's no, it's Mo who's just fighting to just be cuddled, I think. But he can't make up his mind what he's doing. But I agree on that, and it's a different rant for a different day. But realistically, we were all in our 20s and thought we were invincible, so you think that you're going to live forever. The problem is when you get into your 30s and 40s, you realise that the habits and routines that you've done in your 20s
Yep.
are going to affect you. Sure, we are talking about bad backs and bad knees and stuff, but if you're not looking after yourself now, then the version of you in 10 years' time is going to pay for it. You will pay at some point, whether you pay at the start, you pay at the end, you're fucking paying for it. So just be careful what you're putting in your body in the pursuit of what would be my answer.
Yeah.
The most tempted I've ever been to stick on the gear was probably in my early 20s. because I was naive. Thankfully, I never done it, but genuinely was like that was probably the most tempted out. The new age of the internet, the whatever, was like, oh, it'd be interesting to see, but I didn't know any of the repercussions of it. I'm so glad that I didn't. But the one thing I would say is, and I do coach people who are on to take it. Not a lot of them. It's not my market, but I have and do coach a very small percentage of people who take performance enhancing drugs. All I ask is that they're open about it and tell me what they're taking. Now, please, I'm just going to say, be careful. Our target market is probably not listening to the market is listening to this probably isn't just up people, so I'm not going to worry about it. I was going to say if you are somebody who's like, I'm probably not the coach for you. In general, there's better people for that. But with that said, if you are taking anything like that, I would almost advocate that if you're going to take something, and the conversation is I am determined I am going to take something, I've made my mind up, I've done the research and whatever, I would always say if you're going to take something, at least take something that is studied and you know the effects of. So
Yeah.
I would actually lead you towards taking steroids than I would taking something that promises you all the benefits of it, but isn't actually overly researched and isn't proved safe for human
Yeah.
consumption, if that makes sense.
100%. SARMs popped off last year, especially on TikTok. Like, it just went fucking insane on social media, SARMs. And it was all teenagers, it was all like, young boys taking them. I think I seen someone as young as like 15, 16 starting to take SARMs, which is not only incredibly dangerous, but incredibly fucking stupid as well. But yeah, I second what Kyle's saying. Be incredibly careful what you put in your body. Do the research, ask the questions. Don't be scared to ask the questions, and just make sure you've got. If you do choose to go down that route, you've got the right guidance. Again, I would not be the right person to come to, because I don't have a fucking clue.
I was going to say I've got a very basic understanding of steroids and how they work and everything else. But if you are looking at the part where you're looking to step on stage and what compounds you use and how to cycle them properly, definitely not the person for you. Hold my hands up and go, yeah, my understanding of steroids is very, very little.
Aye, fair enough. Fair enough. Anything else you want to get off your chest quickly?
Nah, mate, because the pee's starting to build up again. I've only
Gee,
just.
you passed 5 minutes ago. Fucking hell.
If you want to increase your non-exercise activity thermogenesis, just make sure you're drinking a lot of water and have a weak bladder because you'll constantly be moving up and down to the toilet. I'd say I'd probably get 10,000 steps a day just going to the toilet.
Brilliant. Oh, excuse me, you're not boring me or anything. It's just
No, mate, that's fine. We'll wrap it up as that. Cheers to Dave and Toby for the music. Gary, cheers for turning up today.
excellent. First one of the year in the bag. Can you tell everybody where they can find you?
Kyle_biofitness1 on Instagram. Gary, where can they find you?
You're getting good at that. You can find me at gmac_health and fitness on Instagram. Hope you all have an absolutely fantastic week. See you all next week. And again, let's make 2025 the year of being fucking selfish.
World peace.